First up on our list today is Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando is considered to be one of the most handsome Hollywood stars to grace the silver screen. He is also known for being an extremely talented actor who led a bit of a rough and tumble life. But what you may not know is that his ladies' man attitude resulted in various affairs and marriages, and, well, 8 kids, with the actor adopting 3 additional kids on top of that. And sadly, some of these children would have extremely unhappy lives. In 1990, one of Marlon Brando's sons, Kardshian, shot his sister Sheehan's boyfriend. Apparently, he had suspected that Sheehan's boyfriend was harming her physically, and so Kardshian ended up taking his life when the altercation escalated. He was charged with manslaughter and served 6 years in prison. Sadly, that wasn't the only horror that the Brando children would go through, as only 5 years later, Sheehan tragically ended up taking her own life after a diagnosis with schizophrenia and a steady mental decline. Next on the list is Liv Tyler. We all know her as the stunning half-elf woman in Lord of the Rings. She's also known as the daughter of Steven Tyler, the eccentric frontman of Aerosmith. However, that wasn't always the case. Liv Tyler was originally born as Liv Rundgren, and she believed that the famous musician and music producer Todd Rundgren was her father. However, a chance encounter as an 8-year-old with Steven Tyler started to unravel Liv's true parentage. During the meeting, Steven pointed out the eerie similarities between his own daughter and Liv, which led to her mother finally confessing the secret. Liv wasn't related to Todd at all, and in fact, her mother had kept the secret to protect her daughter because Steven was going through some serious substance issues at the time of their brief relationship. Liv eventually changed her last name to Tyler, but kept Rundgren as her middle name in homage to the man who raised her as his own at some point. Damn, I wish I had 2 rock star dads. Next up is MMA legend Ronda Rousey. She's got a spectacular record, and it's impossible to penetrate her amazing fighting legacy as she has cemented herself as one of the greats. Her personal life though, well, a little touchier. In fact, Ronda has a history of aggression in her past relationships, having violently harmed an ex-boyfriend. She is also a conspiracy theorist who has some extremely harmful opinions. She shared on her Twitter that she believes that the horrifying Sandy Hook incident was actually a manufactured incident and that the people and children involved were actually actors. I can't think of anything more harmful and disgusting than promoting that the real-life harm of was done to take away guns from Americans. Ronda shared the video and described it as, quote, extremely interesting and a must-watch documentary. Eventually, after obvious backlash, Ronda deleted the video and her manager attempted to scrub any trace of it from the internet, which obviously didn't happen because it is in fact the internet.
In at number 7, Katie Holmes. Just 5 days before Tom Cruise celebrated his 50th birthday, his wife of 5 years, Katie Holmes, filed for divorce in New York. The world was completely shocked by this secret being unearthed. The couple had been spotted together on the set of Oblivion in Iceland just days before, and they were strolling along like nothing was going on. Everything's fine, don't look at us. Apparently Holmes orchestrated her escape, if you will, from Cruise very carefully. She set up secret meetings with lawyers and prepared to battle for sole custody of their daughter Shuri. Now, although the details leading up to this was kept secret, if you were watching the tabloids, one could assume that she was using them to shift the public's perspective. Katie Holmes used the sympathies of the tabloids to convince people that she was just this kind of passive wife of Tom Cruise, was a maniac, which is believable, right? The weirdest part was that right after her divorce, she had all of these events set up where there would be people there to photograph her. Normally, following a divorce, you would think that you'd, take some time to yourself, take some time off from work maybe, but nope, she just went right to the cover of the August issue of Elle magazine.
Next up is the actor who portrayed Spider-Man in the original Spider-Man movies, the ones with the PlayStation font. Well, Toby Maguire has had an insane childhood that was largely hidden from the public when he became an A-lister. He came from a very financially strained family. His parents adopted several of his cousins after his aunt passed away suddenly, and the weight of now caring for all these kids left them destitute and broke. In a desperate attempt to provide for all these children, Toby's dad attempted to rob a bank. His attempt was unsuccessful, and his father had to spend some time in prison for his crime. Thankfully though, he was released after a few years because it was his first time offending, and the judge sympathized with his cause. Luckily for them, they made it out of the ordeal, and now Toby is an internationally recognized celebrity.
through and we have her secret on makeup. Forbes named her the youngest self-made billionaire after she started her own beauty company, Kylie Cosmetics. Her entire world revolves around makeup, quite literally, since it's basically her full-time income. Unlike her sister Kendall, she doesn't do modeling, and she isn't really in the fashion industry like her other Kardashian sisters. So it might surprise people to learn that even though she created a beauty empire around makeup, she doesn't actually like wearing makeup. She exposed her little secret and said that she only wears makeup because that's what her fans like to see on her social media. She says that she has a passion for makeup, but she doesn't personally like to wear it often, and that there is a difference between the two. I get that. I like makeup. Like, I'm intrigued by makeup. I like makeup. I don't like wearing it though. I can't wait to take it off.
Next up is a K-pop idol whose secret is definitely out of the bag at this point. We all know just how strict and borderline harmful the K-pop industry is towards its stars, often restricting diets to near starvation in an attempt to get their already lean singers to lose weight, alongside 12 to 20 hours a day of dance practice. But one K-pop idol from the band Bang Bang has some dark underground secrets that only recently came to light. Seungri was sentenced last year to 3 years in prison for the crime of running an underground nightclub that bet heavily on foreign casinos where gambling is illegal. He was also charged with providing women to business executives for, services. Apparently, he's been doing this for years, and we only recently found out during a Korean military bust. Now it seems like sadly his K-pop days are over as he spends the next 3 years behind bars.
In at number 3, Charlie Sheen. No one has really been attacked in the press like Charlie Sheen has. Not saying he hasn't earned some of his controversies, but let's just say that there are some very shady people in this world. The notorious actor appeared on NBC's Today Show in 2015 to announce that he was HIV positive. Charlie had been diagnosed with HIV 4 years prior and finally revealed his secret after several people actually tried to blackmail him. Allegedly, there were some people threatening to reveal this secret unless he gave them $10 million.
I'm here to admit that I am in fact HIV positive. And I have to put a stop to this onslaught.
If the timeline is 4 years from this interview, then his diagnosis would have come right as this whole controversy with the show 2.5 Men started. You know, the one where he said in a bunch of interviews that he had tiger blood and Adonis DNA. Like, it's no wonder with that much press on him already that he didn't want to also reveal what could even be perceived as a weakness to his health.
Second to first on our list is Oprah Winfrey. The talk show host who revolutionized the game, Oprah's name is synonymous with the monolithic empire she's built surrounding her image. She's known for her lovable, relatable, and welcoming personality. But her humble beginnings make her rise to fame all the more deserved. In fact, Oprah was born in Mississippi to a single teenager mom, and she grew up in extreme poverty. During her childhood, the cost of raising a baby became too much for the young mother, so she sent Oprah to go live with her father, or at least one of the men who she thinks might have been her father. During her time with her dad, Oprah's mom gave birth to 2 more babies, one of which was given up for adoption. The real kicker here is that Oprah only found out about her sister Patricia in 2010. While a gut reaction to this news may be to cast harsh judgment on Oprah's mother, it is important to remember that it is impossible to know what it is like unless you have been in her position. For those who have been, we think you understand the brevity of her decision. Last up is Nicolas Cage. Now, I guess it's not exactly a dark secret here, and I may be cheating a little bit, but I only just found this out when I was writing the script, and wow, wild. Anyways, Nicolas Cage is known for his fun and sometimes extremely cheesy acting in movies like Face Off and Ghost Rider. But what you may not know is that Nicolas Cage isn't even his real name. In fact, Cage's birth name is Nicholas Kim Coppola, and his uncle is the famed director Francis Ford Coppola. The name change resulted from his wish not to cash in on the fame associated with the Coppola name in Hollywood, though the actor did end up appearing in several of Francis's films. It is quite believable when thinking about it for a few seconds, as both talents are just as eccentric as the other. The principal difference is that Francis Ford Coppola's odd ideals gave the world masterpieces like The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, while Cage gifts audiences with wild overacting and melodrama.
Kicking off the countdown list, number 10 is her lip injections. Is it really a Kylie Jenner list if it doesn't talk about her lips? I mean, I feel like that would be a sin not to talk about her lips. For years now, her lips have always been the most talked about feature on her body. believe it or not. Her fans first noticed that as she started to grow older, she seemed to have fuller lips. And for a while, she was telling her fans that it was just lip liner and a photo filter, making them look more full. Over time, she did finally come clean about getting lip injections, and it was revealed that she had them done when she was just a teenager. Turns out she had her first injections when she was just 16 years old. And she said that she kept it a secret because she didn't want people to look at her as a bad influence. Because obviously when you're 16, you have a lot of young fans, and you don't want to be putting needles in your face at 16 years old. Girl, too young. You know what I just thought of? That just means Kris Jenner had to sign off on that, because you will need parental consent. Coming in next at number 9 is the envy between Kylie and Kendall. When your entire family is famous and everyone has their own businesses running, one might think that there would be some kind of competition going on. I mean, some of their products and businesses are like a conflict of interest with each other. Like they're in competition. But because they are all sisters and they are all very successful, each sister has said that they do not feel threatened by anyone else. But there was some tea spilled, and a source claimed that Kendall and Kylie have a secret rivalry that's never really talked about. The sisters seem to be incredibly close to us because of their small age gap and their many collaborations throughout the years. But a source told Radar Online, I quote, "There's so much envy between these two, it's as though they're not happy when the other one is doing well." Some little sister competition going on. I mean, I get that. I feel like there might naturally just be a little bit of envy there. Cruising into number 8 is her hair. Just by following her or seeing some of her pictures, you'd be able to tell that her hair is fake. She switches up her look often, usually sporting bright colored wigs or changing up the length and color of her real hair with hair extensions. But her appearance is important for her brand for many reasons. You probably never stop to think about why she keeps changing her hair. And I don't blame you, because there are like a million other more important things to think about. But it turns out that she makes these changes on purpose. She said that changing her hair makes her feel like a new person. And many of us females can totally relate to that. Despite her brand having to do with some of it, there seems to be more personal reasoning behind it too. I mean, I can't say I've never dyed my hair, wanting to feel like a different person. Like, you know, post-breakup, I gotta get new hair, I'm a new me.
Next up is Frank Sinatra. The smooth-singing romantic who charmed his audiences into the Hall of Greats has a seriously dark secret personal life. In fact, every move Frank Sinatra made was meticulously tracked by the FBI for 40 years in pages and pages of files. Why, you may ask? Well, outside of being held in suspicion for dodging the draft because of a supposed ear infection, he is also thought to have strong mafia ties. He's been seen in cahoots with a revolving cast of characters connected to the criminal underworld, including Chicago mob boss Sam Giancana, with whom he was close friends. Apparently, the FBI was so closely tracking Sinatra because he had introduced Sam to John F. Kennedy's campaign for presidency in an attempt to deliver Union votes. Dodging the draft and electing John F. Kennedy, Sinatra is a man after my own heart.
Sliding into number 6 is the fact that she is shy. Now I know what you're thinking. The way she posts on social media, you wouldn't think that she is necessarily the shy type. She often posts pictures in barely anything clothing and in bikini, showing off her skin and flaunting her curves. The reality is though, who she is on social media and who she is behind the scenes are two totally different people. She appears to have all the confidence in the world, but she's actually quite shy. She was speaking with People magazine when she let it slip that she is a lot more shy than people think, and in really busy situations, she gets anxious and shy very easily. She plays it off well though, especially seeing as there's cameras surrounding her every single day. She seems like a natural. So she is hiding that well. I did not picture her as like the shy type. We are halfway.
In at number 5, Lance Armstrong. In 2012, champion cyclist Lance Armstrong denied that he ever relied on performance-enhancing drugs. He referred to the doping allegations against him as outlandish and heinous. However, when the US Anti-Doping Agency revealed compelling evidence, the cyclist's house of lies began to crumble. The agency released about 1,000 pages of evidence in doping allegations against Armstrong and his teammates. This led to him being stripped of 7 Tour de France titles and bronze Olympic medal, plus his secret forced him to step down as chairman of the Livestrong Foundation. Armstrong would later give a detailed account of his doping to Oprah Winfrey in 2013.
You know, I view this situation as one big lie that I repeated a lot of times.
Moving along to number 4, Kylie is stubborn. Her biggest fans would love to think that they know everything about her. A big part of having celebrity status is that all your fans think they personally know you. It's kind of weird when you think about it. Like, people obsess over someone that they've never actually met and know nothing about. But even if you thought you knew what she was like, one of her traits that she might not want you knowing about is that she is incredibly stubborn. Welcome to the club, sister. I know all about that. There are many different words that can be used to describe her, and an insider dish that's stubborn is one of them. They said, I quote, "If you knew Kylie, she can be very stubborn. When she makes her decisions, she sticks by them." I mean, I feel like that's not necessarily a bad trait though. Or maybe I'm just saying that because I'm stubborn and I want to think it's a good thing, but in some cases, being stubborn isn't really a bad thing.
Next up is Hollywood actor Casey Affleck. I'm surprised we haven't done this one yet, honestly. Known for movies like Manchester by the Sea and Gone Baby Gone, Affleck is a critic's best friend. But he's not everyone's best friend. In fact, Casey has been accused by multiple women of committing horrifying acts against them. Some say that he snuck into their bedrooms, others that when they refused his advances, he sent them violent and aggressive texts. Other women have said that he ordered a crew member to expose himself to this one woman. All of these allegations were attempted to be taken to court to be filed as multi-million-dollar lawsuits, but they were both settled for unknown amounts. Thanks to these settlements, we may never know if these accusations are true or not, but it seems really odd that not many people are talking about it these days. In fact, when asked about it, Casey brushes it off as hearsay, and his dark past seems to be fading into secrecy once again.
In spot number 2 is her secret cousin. That's right, apparently Kylie has a cousin that has been behind the shadows this whole time. The craziest part is that she looks like a spitting image of Kylie. You may have already seen her on social media. Her name is Natalie Zettel, and she's the youngest cousin of the family and is a low-key Instagram model. People recently caught on to this unknown little fact, and no one is really sure why we are just finding this out. Natalie is the daughter of Kris Jenner's younger sister. People found out about her after a picture of her and Kylie started surfacing on the internet. When you see them together side by side without all the makeup and hair and wigs and all of that, you can tell that they're related, and it's kind of cute. She's beautiful. Finally, we have made it to number 1, and we have her pregnancy was unexpected. Alright, so the majority of us, this isn't really a secret. I feel like we all assumed this anyway, but it's totally not fair to judge someone that we don't even know on whether or not they planned on getting pregnant. Because really, we don't know what happened behind the scenes. The world went into a frenzy when the rumors first started, and Kylie completely went MIA and hid it from the entire world. When she first found out about her pregnancy, she wanted to keep that moment for herself rather than live it out in front of the world, where she says that she would have been judged for it. Which she probably would have because she was so young. She admits that she did not plan on getting pregnant, but that it was the most amazing experience nonetheless. I mean, I get it. If I was her age and had that platform and I unexpectedly got pregnant, the amount of anxiety I would have, I wouldn't even want to tell my own parents, let alone the entire world.
In at number 10, Leighton Meester. You'd never be able to tell by how she carries herself today, but this polished celebrity was actually born in a Texas prison while her mother was serving time for drug smuggling. Though her mother was allowed to spend 12 weeks in a halfway house with newborn Leighton, she was soon sent back to jail. Meester ended up living with her grandmother in Florida until her mother was released. At 10, her family moved to New York so that she could begin a career in modeling, only to then pack up again 4 years later and head to Los Angeles. Once in Hollywood, she began auditioning for various roles while taking acting classes, but she found it difficult to relate to kids her age because of her unstable upbringing, an upbringing that she kept hidden for a very long time. Her breakout acting role was when she portrayed Blair Waldorf on Gossip Girl, a character whose mother was the owner of a fashion empire, which, as you can imagine, was a stark contrast from her actual childhood. Today, though, she was worth an estimated $16 million. In at number 9, Selena Gomez. In typical rumor mill fashion, when singer Selena Gomez decided to cancel part of her world tour in 2013, the gossip magazines did all kinds of speculating as to why. They said she was battling a drug and alcohol addiction and listed a plethora of other unconfirmed conspiracies. The real reason that these types of stories kind of bubble up is because of how secretive celebrities are. Although, can we blame them? I'm sure there are some parts of their life that they just want to keep quiet. And turns out Gomez had been hiding a secret from the world, but it had nothing to do with indulging in addictions. Later on, Selena revealed to Billboard that she had to undergo chemotherapy to treat lupus, a chronic autoimmune disease. She mainly wanted to wait for the right time to talk about it, and when she did, she didn't want to be loud about the whole thing. Selena just wanted to wait so that she could properly use her platform to help spread awareness. In at number 8, Prince. Prince has always been a wild and eccentric character. I mean, in 1993, he literally changed his name to a symbol. If that's not the definition of an enigma, I don't know what is. Although this brilliant musician was hiding a big secret from the world. For his entire life, Prince had been coping with epilepsy, which is a serious medical condition. Although in 2009, he revealed this secret during an interview with PBS. In the interview, Prince told host Tavis Smiley, "I'd never spoken about this before, but I was born epileptic. I used to have seizures when I was young. My mother and father didn't know what to do or how to handle it, but they did the best they could with what little they had." Although Prince said that after a while he was able to keep his condition largely under control. He also noted though that this control over his epilepsy came by way of an angel that spoke to him.
In spot number 7 is her weird collection. Having a collection is not uncommon, even having weird collections isn't uncommon. People collect things all the time, and it kind of just depends on what you think is weird or not. I personally collect stuffed animals. And I'm serious, I call them my furry friends and I love them. And I would love if you guys would let me know in the comments if you have a weird collection. This is a judgment-free zone. Yeah, let me know. But anyways, back to Kylie. Her collection is really random and it's easy to think that it probably has to do with fashion or beauty or skincare, but it turns out it is not even close to that. Turns out she has a collection of rubber ducks and has been collecting them for years. When she was younger, the one thing she always asked for on her birthday was a rubber duck. And she said she still has some of her very first ones. I wonder if she'll pass them along to Stormy, because that would actually be really cute.
In at number 6, Caitlyn Jenner. Back in 1971, Jenner participated in their first decathlon, and by 1972, Jenner was competing in the decathlon at the Munich Olympics. At those Olympics, they finished 10th overall in the event, and in 1976, Jenner went on to win the gold in the decathlon at the Montreal Olympics and was declared by the media to be the world's greatest athlete. Jenner was able to accomplish all of this while living with a deep personal secret that wouldn't be shared with the public for, I don't know, another 40 years? In 2014, Jenner announced that they were divorcing from longtime wife Kris Jenner, and just a year later, Jenner shocked the world when they revealed that they had undergone gender reassignment surgery. At the age of 65, Caitlyn Jenner introduced herself to the world, and by 2015, ESPN had awarded Jenner the Arthur Ashe Courage Award, and to this day, Caitlyn is one of the most prominent public figures to come out as transgender.
Next on the list is Kevin Spacey, and not for what you might think, because really nothing can keep what he did a secret, and his attempts at hiding it are abysmal at best. But what you may not know is that there are more than a few skeletons in his closet, and he's got one secret that I actually didn't know. Kevin's left-leaning political views are very well known, so it may come as a surprise that his father was vehemently racist and believed that white people were a superior race. Kevin refuses to talk about his father, but his siblings have opened up a handful of times about their traumatic childhood, often describing their father as an evil monster. Apparently, their father would also continually his kids while they were growing up, and it got so bad that Kevin's brother Randy almost took the life of his father while the young boy was hiding in a closet, but he never opened the door. Although Kevin is a reprehensible human being, no boy deserves to grow up in such a horrifying environment.
In at number 4, Arnold Schwarzenegger. This secret that Arnold kept ended up being the bombshell that destroyed his marriage. Just 5 days after Arnold's then wife Maria Shriver gave birth to their 4th son in 1997, the couple's housekeeper, Mildred Patricia Baina, also gave birth to a son by the same action star. He kept this child of his a secret until he completed 2 terms as California's governor in 2011. Then he finally confessed his infidelity to Shriver and later the public. All it took was the media identifying the mystery baby mama, and thus the celebrity scandal had been completed. There have always been celebrities that kept their kids out of the public eye, but nothing in terms of what Arnold was able to pull off by keeping this all a secret for so long. Imagine seeing that kid and be like, this kid looks like Arnold's son. Is that Arnold's son?
Taking over the 3rd spot is she wants to live behind the scenes. If you look at her social media, you might get the impression that she loves all of the attention that she gets, but the truth is she doesn't. She doesn't like being recognized every time she goes out, and she would rather live a more private life. During an interview with Wonderland magazine, she said, "I want to be a businesswoman and behind the scenes. Kylie Jenner needs to retire." Girl, I hate to break it to ya, but your career is just getting started. She still chooses to live her life in the public eye, but admits that she hates a lot of the attention she gets and the pressures that come along with it. Realistically though, even if she didn't want to live in the public eye anymore, it's kind of too late for that. Like, she could never just go out and people weren't gonna freak out.
In at number 2, Drake. This one was a huge reveal because for so long people were just simply speculating on whether or not Drake was dating someone. So when Pusha T released a track with the line directed at Drake that said, "You are hiding a child, let that boy come home, Adonis is your son," everyone that was watching that feud had this jaw-dropping moment when Drake finally revealed his secret son named Adonis. How did Pusha T know this? Drake would later record a song called Emotionless that explained why he had kept his son hidden from the public. He just didn't want to expose his son to the world that would have had their eyes on his every move. And it's understandable, but I believe it baffled people because it wasn't like he was like happily married to someone. He appeared to just be this rolling stone that was always rumored to be romantically involved with one celebrity or another. Last but certainly not least, on our number 1 spot, Justin Timberlake and Jessica Biel. Like many celebrities on this list, JT and JB have had an awful time trying to keep their personal lives out of the public eye. One thing that has certainly helped keep a lot of secrets is, well, this pandemic. I mean, if the paparazzi can't come within 6 feet of you and everyone's on lockdown in their homes, the tabloids must be just suffering right now. Although the Daily Mail still found a way to unearth some celebrity secrets when they revealed that Jessica had secretly given birth to a baby boy. The family are thought to be in Big Sky, Montana, where they have been spending time amid the coronavirus pandemic, and both of them have neglected to share any details whatsoever about the pregnancy, so I guess we'll have to check the Daily Mail if you want info on that celebrity secret.